Okay, it's 1:30. I call the meeting of the Inspector of the Hartford County Jail to order. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. These proceedings are being recorded for the sole purpose of preparing accurate written minutes. The recordings are overwritten following the approval of the minutes, eliminating all unofficial records of these proceedings. And are there any guests present that want to address the board? All right, there being none, we'll move to approval for the minutes of the meeting held on November 15th, 2023. That was a regular meeting.
Motion approved.
Motion by Rocky, second.
Second.
Second by Dan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I will abstain since I was absent from the meeting.
Okay, one abstention. Do it, not make a meeting. Report of executive sessions held. There were none. We'll move into report of committees. Maintenance report.
Sykes Brothers was in for their monthly service. Allstate was in to pump the grinder pit and clean out the pumps. Clean Air Systems came in and cleaned the kitchen exhaust, which they do twice a year. Penn Power was in and did the yearly preventive maintenance on both of our generators. I did the monthly dweller reports for DEP. We removed a few more trees that are obstructing camera view, and we will continue to do so until we get over to the point that we have discussed. Still waiting on Johnson Control to come back and upgrade the camera system, and I haven't heard anything at all since.
We're all waiting for Johnson Controls for various projects. I don't have a time frame.
Cintas was in to replace the tanks for the kitchen fire suppression system. Allstate came back to fix a problem with the pumps. The next day they weren't working, so they came back out that day and got everything running. Train was in, repaired the rooftop units above the special block, and they started the preventive maintenance, but they still have to come back to finish the quarterly preventive maintenance because we ran out of time. I also sent in an inventory list, which I'm working on. These are basically the big ticket items for the prison, and if it didn't have a date on the unit itself, I've either been doing some research to find the manufacturer date, how old things are, or making phone calls, giving the serial number to the companies and the hotels. I'm still working on it. I have more to add, and I have more dates to find, just so everybody is aware of some of the.
Anybody have any questions for Rodney on the maintenance report?
Yeah, I do, Mr. President. Just looking at that inventory list, if the install date is close to the manufacturing date, you've got quite a bit of equipment that is 15, 20, 30 years old, so just kind of a word to the wise as well. I'm suspecting there's going to be more issues with replacements in 2024. And the rooftop units, just a quick comment there, you had the one that was 5 of 10 that was replaced last year, right?
That was just the heat exchanger was replaced
Okay.
in that unit.
Okay, but then you have 6 or 7 that are older than that unit.
Yes.
So
Now,
that's-
some of those may have had heat exchangers replaced
Okay.
before I started,
Okay.
but I don't have the information on that.
Right, and that's what I was asking over the years about having a kind of a, not just a maintenance report, but an inventory of the repairs and so forth to the items in the prison, which would be helpful. Because heat goes in the winter and cold goes, HVAC goes in the summer. We all know that. So that's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Work release report.
Good afternoon, everyone. Submitted to the board is the monthly work release report. There was a total of 3 individuals on the program, was currently 3 individuals on the program. Submitted are the total revenues for the month, and also is included the in-house work report. If there's any questions on any of those, I can certainly try to answer that.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Schubeck? Okay, thank you, Frank. Then we'll move on. Plan of action.
We did not meet from in between the last meeting January, we will schedule a meeting, and the primary focus of that will be the findings from the inspection that occurred. I believe Mr. Greek sent that out to folks. I know the warden, I'm sorry?
I didn't get it out yet.
Okay, so that will be coming out. I know the warden and deputy warden and his team have already been working on some of those issues on there, but that will be the focus for the first couple months of 2024 to make sure that we're addressing all of those issues that are in that report. And then we can report back in the monthly meetings on our progress.
They've already scheduled a 24 inspection for June the 6th of 24.
All right. Nothing further, any questions for Dan? Warden's report.
Okay, the warden's report is from November 1st of 23 to November 30th. We had 65 male admissions and 16 female admissions, with 59 male releases and 28 female releases. Average population for the month of November, or for the year, is 151. As of November 30th, we've had 120 males in jail, 15 females, 136. Total admissions as of the end of November was 1,013. Hospital runs, we had 3 to the emergency room, we had 1 to an ortho, 1 to an OBGYN, and 6 to a specialist for 11 total. We had no hospital days, no inmates in the hospital at all in that time period. That's all I have.
Anybody have any questions for the ward? We'll entertain a motion to approve the warden's report.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we need an executive session? No executive session? Oh, we're moving quick today. Personnel report. Nothing?
I usually don't read that.
All right. Any action you wanna take on the personnel report? All right. Okay. Let's do.
Are we gaining people or losing people yet? I mean, you hired, what is it, 4 of them here, so
We lost a lot.
did we lose more than what we gained in this couple? Okay.
We're still down a good deal yet. The 4 helped, but we're still down at 6 or 7 officers.
Because there's a lot of overtime yet or mandated hours.
Is there a motion on that personnel report?
I'll make the motion.
I'll make the motion.
Yeah.
I'll second it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Okay, let's do, is there any correspondence? Anything from our solicitor?
No report.
Did you review we'll bring it up under new business, the Carver Monroe Pike, the 2024 contract?
I did, yeah, that was drafted in-house anyway, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
How
so,
about the saving one from last year is basically.
I
read
also
it.
looked at
All right,
that, it's fine.
okay. So then we'll deal with, is there any old business first?
So I'm guessing this will be old business, but in the security meeting yesterday, the warden again brought up the issue of people coming onto the prison property. I know when we were talking about some grant stuff that Mr. Levy was doing, we had a discussion about using some of those funds or seeing if those funds could be utilized for a gate, a post there. And I don't remember, Paul, if that was part of that, we could use it for that, or what the status of it was.
So, no, the quick answer is no, it wasn't something that we could utilize. I wound up contacting PCCD, asked them about different things, and in fact, some of the stuff that was originally put in, I removed just so there weren't any questions or issues. So I modified things, the big ticket items were obviously the HVAC, and some booths and polycoms that might be able to be utilized. So they specifically said that was building structures, they were indicating would be a problem, so. There may be other avenues that we could look for other grants in the future, but I didn't wanna be in a position that we asked for something that we're gonna get, that's why I removed one of the other
Yeah, and
items.
actually, wasn't that all COVID related?
Yeah, again, it was all supposed to be connected, and I think the HVAC system at the jail is gonna be specifically, or should be able to be specifically covered, provided, there's enough of the money. And the way they described it, there should be funds for that. And the Polycom and the separate little, boost that we were proposing, that's also something that also is related to the COVID issues. So unfortunately, it was also, they don't wanna build structures. In fact, there was a request for a storage unit to be built. They said you can ask for a portable storage unit, but not something to be built, so we put that on there as well, so, that's part of the $650,000 requested, so. I haven't gotten a response from that yet, though, so unfortunately, that wouldn't have been covered in the grant.
Board and jump in here with other information, but, you know, this continues to be an issue. I think the biggest hurdle we have is how do you pay for it?
Yeah, also staffing.
And staffing, but I don't know any other way to prevent that from happening other than securing that entrance.
Yeah, it happens a lot, and in hunting season especially, we get hunters walking up and down into the woods with loaded weapons. I think I described in my couple others I sent down, I tried to stop a jogger one day just to tell them that they can't run back there. They just kept running, and the guy with the black tactical vest taking pictures of the jail and the canine center. And that is all over the span of the last 2-3 months. Whenever we see somebody out on the jail property that we know doesn't belong, we go out and try and find out what they're doing. When we talk about the guy with the black tactical vest, me and Mr. Schubeck went to try and find him. By the time we got out, he was gone, and it was an officer that was coming on duty that said there's somebody up there. We went immediately, but by the time we got up there, we couldn't find anybody.
So I guess my question to the group is does anybody have a better solution, or what are the thoughts on how we correct that? Because it's not going away, and if something is gonna happen, that's likely how it's gonna be, and it's very concerning from a safety and security standpoint.
Is it a problem, I mean, we actually have two roads, you could say, going in there, one is 911 and like, you have to keep it open for the dog shelter, but, I mean, is there a way of putting something up at each one of them, and they each have a buzzer that when somebody gets it, they gotta call, just like a housing development, you know?
I mean, and that's my opinion, that's the way it should be, is you
Yeah.
put it at the top of the road. People who need to come in, they can get buzzed right in. It doesn't prevent that, but it would stop the rest of the unauthorized use of people coming in there. And, you know, I think we talked about this before, the level of inmate currently housed up there has significantly increased in the severity of their crimes. It's not DUIs or lower level offenses. You know, you have some people in there that have some significant crimes who have family members or gang affiliations or, you know, you name it. And that's a soft target as it stands now.
I think about just this morning, I was coming in about 7:30, and I drove into our parking lot, there was a silver Fiat behind me. And I thought maybe they were gonna turn into 911 center or the K-9 center, they didn't. They drove into our parking lot, I parked my spot, I kept an eye on them, they drove around our parking lot and drove back out, and I waited to see if they turned to the dog kennel or the 911 center, they didn't, they went back up the road.
So I know Wayne was in our meeting yesterday, and we had the discussion that, you know, we gotta look at grant funds as really the only reasonable way that we could think of at the time, which I know Paul's involved in that, and sits on the PCCD committee, so we'll know if things are coming down, but I think for next year, we've gotta figure out a way to make that a priority.
We think we need to look at how it can be monitored 24/7. Maybe night shift, central control would be able to access it or take care of it. Afternoon shift after certain hours shouldn't be a major issue, but during the day and early afternoon, you're gonna have your high traffic areas where who's gonna monitor it then?
There's security, you know, that's, like you said, the prison's a soft target. That's one of the targets if anybody's doing anything in here. That's all our communication. To have it just a free-for-all to come in there, and then and like I said, then you have what you have down at the end of the road. enforcement standpoint, what we're seeing just up at the range, coming in from Hazelton and that area, we're right next door to the action, and it is concerning. So, is there plans in place for a grant coordinator, that maybe that they can assist in doing something like this that we're looking at?
I put it this way, we're looking at a job description currently. Hopefully, if any positions fly this year, I would hope it'd be that one. This coming year, not this year, but next in 24. Because again, it's budgetary issues.
And, like, if you would have somebody there, say if you have a manned post, like, how would you train, I mean, the person that's gonna have to be there has to communicate with all three places. So how is that person gonna communicate with the prison, 911? Are they gonna call each one and say, okay, Joe coming in, it's okay? Is that how you're gonna set it
Well, I
up?
think
or-
the radio county government would cover all three of those.
Yeah, I think there's a couple ways to do that. You can put a phone in and have them call. Each one of those places could submit a visitor list for that day or have it accessible on a shared drive, or those radios. I mean, the 911 center's right there, they could radio in and you just assign a person in one of those buildings to respond. I mean, you have somebody at the prison in your comm center or whatever, that give them the radio, give it to whoever the 911 operator is, you know, and that way you have your.
And would it be better to have something like that halfway down the hill? Because if you have it up further, you're gonna be a backup, you're gonna be on 93, so would it be where that parking lot is, or?
I would suggest coming down the entrance road before it splits, to have it somewhere there. I don't, you know, an exact location, I'm not sure, but, you know, we have is the old parking booth being used for anything?
Not that I know of. We were gonna use it, well, they had the parking in it, but,
Because now you have that's there.
yeah.
So you would need an arm and some electrical stuff run, so I mean, and those parking booths aren't cheap. You know,
No.
look at what you guys
Yeah.
did for the newer one, now that's upgraded a little bit, but
Yeah.
I don't know if they need heat in there, or, you know, what.
There
whatever
actually
they
was
need.
heat in that one, but,
So,
Heat there.
so yeah, we have that already, if it's not dedicated to another purpose, so that takes some of the guesswork out of
But
it.
then it comes down to the manning of it,
And my
cost
question
of
is,
it.
did it have to be, could it be somebody like from a parking bureau or whatever you?
well, that's what I'm just wondering, like, how we could do that, you know what I mean? Like, if, the only bad thing about it, like, it should be, I think it should be from the sheriff's department, you would think, you know what I mean?
Well, then
Like
that
our-
takes 5 people,
Yeah.
right? You have 3 shifts,
Yeah.
vacation, holidays.
Yeah.
So the other thing is, a half measure is simply stopping a car and asking, do you have access? Because 50 people a day go into the animal shelter. If you're not inspecting their car, you're taking a half measure, right? You're not preventing the potential infiltration of weapons and that, which is the main concern, right? Individuals with weapons. So, yeah.
I was just gonna ask, as a layperson, when the camera, the security camera that views people coming in, does it alert them that somebody's coming into the?
I would say that's a secure, I would say, let's not talk that
Okay,
in
I'm sorry.
public, that particular,
I-
you know.
yeah,
Thank you.
that's a
Fair enough.
security.
I'm just saying,
Yeah,
is if
no.
not, it should be something that, from my perspective, I'd wanna see that they're alerted that somebody comes in, or even a gate, you might wanna just put even a simple, and again, this
Alright,
is just
yeah,
a
you're
layperson.
going a little too far with this.
Sorry,
this kind of
okay.
stuff.
So, yeah, I mean, I think there's some things that need to still be figured out and worked out,
Yeah.
but the need continues to increase. And you could get as fancy with it as you would like, if you look at some of the government buildings with their secure gates and the pylons that go up, and that, you know, I don't know that you need to do all of that stuff, but, you know, there's definitely the need
And I
that's
think we
there.
could just look into it, I said, in this booth got, there's cheaper ones out there, we could look what kind of automated gates they have, you know what I mean? At least get an initial thing on what to set it up would be. I mean, we know what, if you man somebody, you're gonna have to pay for it, but.
Suggest you go back to the security meeting, like Chris,
Yeah,
They
it's gotta
mentioned
go
it.
there. I
It's
mean,
gotta go to that and,
Obviously, we're not creating an entirely secure area. It's, history's taught us anything, if anybody wants to get down there, they're gonna get down there. That's real, you know, and they're gonna come in undetected. But the fact is, it's just blatant now because it's just wide open, that they're, and I understand when you said about a half measure,
Yeah.
and really we should be,
Yeah.
to the right degree, we should be looking at every car, patting people down before they come in, that whole gambit, but right now, it's just like an open border, and we have no real way, even the trespassing signs are small, and I'd rather not see that it's that easily accessible. And like we said, it's three-pronged, it's the prison, and you have an attractive nuisance at the end of the road, and even gating that doesn't stop some kid from climbing up there and falling off, and that's, you know, on a drunken summer night, that's what you're gonna have, if we're not watching that stuff.
Warden, are there any funds available at the prison that there's flexibility in spending that for upgrades such as this?
Right now, no.
So I'll put it on the security agenda.
Anything else under that discussion? All right, so is there any other old business? Right, there being a new business, we have the Common Monroe Pike DNA 2024 contract. Is there a motion to recommend this for approval by the commissioners?
or we,
You have to approve it, you guys.
is there a recommendation by the board to the
That's
commissioners?
what I said, is there
that's
a
right.
motion in order to recommend approval by the
I'll recommend to
commissioners?
myself we approve it.
I'll second her.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. And then we have the PA Saban 2024 contract through the Pennsylvania District Attorneys Association. There were no changes in that from last year. Is there a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Commissioners?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Rocky, second by Mark. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, any further business? You have anything you'd like to say?
It's my last prison board meeting, and it was certainly an honor and a privilege to serve as controller and a member of the prison board and the current secretary. And I also wanted to commend the board, because I know that we had to deal with a lot of serious, challenging issues these last 4 years, and I think we did a good job in resolving most of those, if not all of them. And they were not easy, and some were very expensive. I wanted to commend the board and also wish Commissioner Lukasevich well as he leaves the board as well, and welcome the Controller-elect Mrs. Herman and Commissioner-elect Sifranco to the board in January. And Merry Christmas to all, thank you.
Thank you. And again, thanks for your service on the board here. And same thing, Mr. Commissioner Lukasevich, thank you for the last 4 years in serving on the prison board here. And welcome aboard. Anything further? Anybody have anything good for the order? All right, with that, Merry Christmas, and we'll do this meeting adjourned.